So our final session of the morning is the first of our soapbox sessions, which is a chance for all of the poster presenters to give a very quick 2-minute outline or introduction to the posters that are in the library. So I think what's going to happen is that each poster is going to have a slide that appears that will last for 2 minutes. And when that slide goes, that's your time done. And it's on to the next one. So we want to keep it nice and snappy. So hopefully the order will be the same as the order that's listed in the programme. So if people can be quick at getting up here and getting off, that would be fantastic. So I think Richard is the first, is that correct?
Thank you very much. My organisation is Village Water. Started 10 years ago in the western province of Zambia. Windblown Kalahari sand, easy access to water, but the only local skill was shallow well digging, which tends to dry up and very limited opportunity for digging. So we were fortunate to be link partners locally in a training programme for local private sector manual well drilling, which has been highly successful. It includes elements of hydrogeology. We now have the makings of some very good local teams, which the obvious outcome is that we now have sustainable knowledge and technology locally, but it also means that Village Water are able to devote far more time to all the other aspects of WASH, and perhaps most importantly, it has actually opened eyes and minds to local partnership, and we now have other local partnerships, and the whole ethos now has become part of the Village Water Way. My board tells the story by one of the successful local team leaders who is now doing an excellent job in manual well drilling.
This is some outputs from a mapping project I was involved in Uganda with Lame International and the Director of Water Resource Management. So there's just a quick look, all the coloured ones on there are the districts we mapped, 44 districts. So there are 9 maps for each district and a district report. The hash districts have been mapped in the previous phases of work. The maps, some of the maps and the reports are available on the Ministry's website. The others you'll have to get from the Ministry somehow. I've got some details if you want the website and on the poster. And I've got an example of one of the district reports with me if you want to have a look at that. That's it.
Work with a great team on one of these catalyst proposals that you've heard about today. Colleagues from the University of Zambia, Surrey, Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and we've been focused on mapping groundwater degradation beneath growing rural towns. This is one of the issues that will be affecting sub-Saharan Africa, the growth of the urban population and the pressure on the groundwater resources beneath them in terms of water quality. And the poster today, also just to mention, I've got 2 colleagues here who've been working on the project, James and Rachel, so ask them as well as me if you have any questions on this. We've been piloting a couple of techniques, sort of new techniques, to characterise groundwater quality degradation. First of all, using a probe, an in situ technique, to rapidly assess a fecal indicator, tryptophan using fluorescence techniques, and also we've been piloting some molecular screening techniques to look at pathogens in groundwater, a broad suite of pathogens, both quite novel for this part of the world, and we've got some exciting results, we think, and we hope to continue this type of work in the future. So please come and have a look.
Slides, I'm afraid. We don't do slides out in the Southampton, out in the sticks. So I'm going to talk about another Catalyst grant just for a couple of minutes, which again is about rapidly expanding urban Africa and water quality, groundwater quality in that setting. And it's really a project mostly about shallow hand-dug wells in the Kisumu area of Kenya, and I'm presenting on behalf of the main author, Joseph Okoto from VIRED International in Kenya. So really what we've done is to look at the situation in terms of shallow groundwater use in Kisumu from about 10 or 15 years ago, during work done by Joseph, testing a sample of wells for water quality, but also undertaking identification of hazards at the wellhead and mapping of risks like on-site sanitation across neighbourhoods of Kisumu. And effectively what we've done is to go back and repeat those sort of observations again to get a sense of how the pattern of shallow groundwaters, how that's changed, how the quality has changed, and how the contribution of shallow groundwaters to urban supply has changed over a long-term period. And really what we're finding really is that, if you like, the extent of wellhead extraction of groundwater is going down a bit, so those handling risks are going down a bit, but the development pressure all round about our neighbourhoods is going up. And in terms of our water quality signal, we're seeing a little bit of a decrease, but essentially the situation is going from awful to not quite so awful. I'll leave it there.
Field, and my thesis will be on groundwater levels in Lusaka. Well, the background of the thesis is that groundwater levels have been shown to be declining, and in line with that, climate change studies have shown that temperature is increasing, extreme events are increasing, but the rainfall, we are not too sure about what's happening with it. So, and then on the other hand, abstraction is also really high in some areas, and for average years, the recharge should be okay. It's about 200 millimeters, but for some years, recharge goes down below 100 millimeters, and obstruction in some areas is well above this. So my thesis will focus on trying figuring out how groundwater levels are changing and how climate change is affecting the recharge and obstruction. Just trying to figure out which one has the more dominant effect. So lots of data collection and statistics. I'll start the field work next week in Lusaka. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm going with Afwa in Lusaka next week. I'm also starting my thesis now, and we've heard about the gap that there is sometimes between the data that is gathered by the scientists and the way people need to use them. So I'm going to look at that and try to see how data can be made more user-friendly for water utilities in low-income peri-urban areas in Lusaka, and also trying to get an idea of why they use the data that is already available to them or why they don't use it, and see how it can go. But I'm just starting now, and I'm just saying any suggestion would be greatly appreciated.
So this is a poster about a project that BGS are working on at the moment, which sits within the UpGrow programme that Richard and Guy have both mentioned this morning. And it's building on the continent scale groundwater maps of Africa that Guy spoke about briefly this morning. And it's trying to provide country scale information related to groundwater in Africa. So there are two streams to the project. There's an online resource, a kind of Wikipedia style encyclopedia of groundwater in Africa, where we're bringing together lots of data sets to provide systematic information for every country in Africa, bringing together information about climate, water quality, land use, lots of different things, but systematically for each country and at a country scale. And the second part of the project is trying to make available all of the massive amount of literature that sit out there and are fairly inaccessible. So we're developing an online literature archive, and we currently have, I think, more than 5,000 bits of literature, including old reports and journal articles, conference papers, maps, lots of literature related to groundwater in Africa. And we're working to geo-reference all of them, so it's all easily searchable and nicely available for lots of end users to be able to access free of charge. So the poster is out there for more information. But I think that was maybe my 2 minutes. I would just like to say thank you to all of the speakers this morning, both the keynote talks and the poster presenters that have come up and kept time very well. Can we just have a round of applause again?